The first measuring tape appeared at 2:47 p.m., right after we finished the birthday cake. I was turning 35. My mother had been dead for 3 weeks. Claire, do you think this living room could be divided down the middle? My brother Jason walked the length of the space, his contractor's measuring tape clicking as it extended. Or would it make more sense to split it horizontally? Give someone the window side, someone else the fireplace. I set down my slice of chocolate cake, the same recipe Mom used to make, though my sister-in-law had baked this one. You're measuring the living room at my birthday party. Just getting preliminary numbers. Jason didn't look up from his tape. We need to start planning how to divide this place fairly. It's a big house, plenty of room if we're smart about it. My sister Amanda appeared from the hallway, paint samples in hand. I'm thinking we keep the exterior color but update the trim. Maybe a soft gray instead of white. We should put it to a family vote. We? I asked quietly. Well, yeah, all of us. Amanda spread the paint samples on the coffee table, covering the birthday cards I hadn't opened yet. Mom left the house to the family. That means we need to make decisions together. I looked around the living room. 20 people had come to celebrate my birthday. My 3 siblings, their spouses, their children, our cousins, Aunt Linda and Uncle Mark. They'd brought presents, sung happy birthday, eaten cake. A normal family gathering. Except it was happening in my childhood home, where my mother had died 3 weeks ago after a brief battle with pancreatic cancer. And half the attendees had brought measuring tapes. My cousin Derek was photographing the kitchen with his phone. We could knock out this wall, open up the space, make it more modern before we subdivide. Subdivide the kitchen. I stood brushing cake crumbs from my jeans. Has to be done if we're all sharing the house. Derek said matter-of-factly. Can't have 7 families sharing one kitchen. We'll need to create separate units. 7 families. Your siblings, you, me, Aunt Linda, maybe Uncle Mark if he wants in. Derek scrolled through his photos. I'm thinking we convert it to a multi-family dwelling. Keep it in the family but make it functional. I walked to the window looking out at the garden my mother had tended for 30 years. The roses she'd planted when I was born were blooming despite her absence. Behind me the conversation continued. The master bedroom should go to the oldest, Jason announced. That's me. Sarah and I need the space for the kids anyway. That's not fair, Amanda countered. Square footage should be divided equally, not by birth order. Then we draw straws for rooms. We should do it by contribution. Who's putting in the most for renovations? I turned back. Nobody's putting in anything for renovations. They looked at me like I'd said something in a foreign language. Claire, we know you're grieving, Aunt Linda said gently. She'd positioned herself on the couch like she already lived here. But we need to be practical. Your mother left this house to all of us. That means we need to figure out how to share it. Mom left the house to all of us, Jason repeated, as if I hadn't heard him the first time. Her lawyer said the estate would be divided among the children. That's you, me, Amanda, and Tommy. Tommy, my youngest brother, nodded from the kitchen doorway. He'd been quiet so far, but he'd brought his own measuring tape. I could see it clipped to his belt. What did the lawyer actually say? I asked. That we'd receive notification about the estate distribution, Amanda said. The reading is scheduled for Monday, but Mom told us years ago she was leaving the house to her children. Plural, all of us. She told you that. She told everyone that. Aunt Linda interjected. Your mother was very clear about wanting to keep the house in the family. She didn't want it sold to strangers. I picked up my glass of water, taking a slow sip. My mother had been clear about many things. She'd been a meticulous woman, a retired accountant who kept detailed records and planned everything carefully. So we're just waiting for the formality on Monday, Jason continued. But we can start planning now. Sarah and I were thinking we'd take the master and the northwest bedroom. Amanda and Rick get the east wing. Tommy gets the basement, he can convert it to a studio apartment. And Claire, you'd get the 2 southwest bedrooms. How generous, I said softly. It's fair, Jason insisted. Equal square footage for each sibling. The cousins can buy in if they want, but immediate family gets first priority. Derek looked disappointed but nodded. I returned to my seat, picking up the stack of birthday cards. My hands were steady as I opened the first one from Jason and Sarah. It showed a cartoon woman surrounded by balloons. Inside, "Happy birthday, Claire. Looking forward to being neighbors." Love Jason, Sarah, and the kids. Neighbors. In my mother's house. The second card was from Amanda. Similar theme. Can't wait to share this beautiful home with you. Happy 35th. I opened 5 more cards. Every single one from family members referenced sharing the house, living together, being housemates. You've all been planning this for a while, I observed. Since Mom got sick, Amanda admitted. We didn't want to burden you with details while you were caring for her, but we've been discussing logistics. It made sense to have a plan ready. While I was caring for her, I'd taken a leave of absence from my job as a systems analyst. Spent 3 months sleeping in the guest room, managing medications, coordinating hospice care, holding my mother's hand through the pain. My siblings had visited on weekends. Amanda came most Sundays. Jason stopped by twice a week after work. Tommy managed once a week, usually. But I'd been here, every single day, every single night. Claire, you're being quiet, Tommy said. Are you okay with the proposed division? I haven't agreed to any division. Well, no, not formally. But you understand this is happening, right? Jason's tone had an edge now. Mom left the house to all of us. We're family. We share. Jason, can I ask you something? Sure. When did Mom tell you she was leaving the house to all her children? He frowned. I don't know. Years ago. It was just understood. Understood how? She'd say things like this house will stay in the family. Or I'm not leaving you kids without a home. He shrugged. It was obvious what she meant. I turned to Amanda. What did she tell you specifically? The same things. That the house would go to her children. That she wanted us to have it. Her children. Not each of her children individually. What's the difference? Amanda's voice sharpened. Claire, what are you getting at? I'm trying to understand what Mom actually said versus what you assumed she meant. We're not assuming anything, Jason said. We spoke with a lawyer, informally, just to understand the process. He said that when someone leaves property to their children, it typically means all children share equally. You spoke with a lawyer, just informally, Jason repeated. A friend of a friend, real estate attorney. He explained how these things usually work. Usually work, I echoed. The doorbell rang. I stood, grateful for the interruption. I'll get it, Tommy said quickly. But I was already moving. I opened the door to find Margaret Holloway, my mother's estate attorney, standing on the porch. She wore a gray suit and carried a leather briefcase, her silver hair pulled back in a neat bun. Miss Parker, she said formally. I apologize for arriving unannounced. May I come in? Of course. I stepped aside. Margaret entered, her experienced eyes taking in the scene. The measuring tapes, the paint samples, the family gathered like shareholders at a board meeting. I wasn't aware you were having a gathering, Margaret said. It's my birthday, I replied. A happy birthday. She didn't smile. Margaret Holloway was not a woman who smiled during business matters. I realize the formal reading is scheduled for Monday, but something has come to my attention that requires immediate clarification. The room had gone silent. Everyone stared at Margaret. I received a call this morning from a contractor. Margaret continued. He'd been contacted by a Jason Parker about obtaining permits to convert this property into a multi-family dwelling. Jason claimed to be one of the property owners. Jason's face flushed. I was just exploring options. You are not a property owner, Margaret said crisply. Not of this property, not yet. And given what I'm about to explain, not ever. Amanda stood. Miss Holloway, we understand the estate hasn't been formally distributed yet. But our mother told us. Your mother told you what she wanted you to hear to maintain family peace while she was alive. Margaret interrupted. What she actually put in her will is quite different. She set her briefcase on the coffee table, displacing Amanda's paint samples. The metallic click of the locks seemed unnaturally loud. I've been Catherine Parker's attorney for 15 years, Margaret said, pulling out a document. She updated her will 6 times during that period. The final version was executed 8 months ago, when she received her diagnosis. My mother had been diagnosed last January. She hadn't told anyone for 2 months, except me. She'd told me immediately. The will is quite clear, Margaret continued. I'm reading the relevant portion now. I leave my house at 847 Maple Avenue, including all fixtures, furnishings, and appurtenances, solely and exclusively to my daughter Claire Elizabeth Parker. Silence. Solely and exclusively, Margaret repeated. Not to be shared, not to be divided, to Claire alone. That can't be right, Jason said. Mom wouldn't. Your mother absolutely would and did. Margaret's voice cut through his protest. She was very specific in her instructions. The house goes to Claire. The remaining estate, bank accounts, investments, insurance proceeds is to be divided equally among all 4 children. But the house belongs solely to Claire. Amanda's face had gone white. Why would she do that? Your mother explained her reasoning to me in detail. Margaret pulled out a second document. She also left a letter to be read at this time. She anticipated there might be confusion. Confusion, Tommy muttered. That's one word for it. Margaret unfolded the letter. My mother's precise handwriting was visible even from where I sat. To my children, Margaret read. If you're hearing this letter, it means there's been a dispute about my house. Let me be clear. The house goes to Claire alone, not because I love her more, but because she's the only one who truly loved it. I felt tears prick my eyes. Claire spent her childhood helping me garden. Mark continued reading. She learned to fix the plumbing, repair the roof, maintain the furnace. She knows every corner of this house. She helped me paint it, renovate it, care for it. The rest of you visited, enjoyed it, but Claire lived it. Jason started to speak, but Margaret raised a hand. More importantly, Claire was the only one who came home when I got sick. Not just to visit, to stay. She put her life on hold for 3 months to care for me. She managed my medications, coordinated my doctors, sat with me through the pain. She did this not because she expected an inheritance, but because she loved me. I was crying now. I couldn't help it. Jason, Amanda, Tommy, I love you all. You'll receive equal shares of my financial estate, but the house goes to the daughter who earned it through years of love, care, and devotion. Claire, this is your home. It has been for a long time. Now it's yours legally too. Margaret folded the letter. The will is ironclad. I drafted it myself. Claire is the sole inheritor of this property. The rest of you will receive your portions of the financial estate on Monday. The silence stretched. I could hear the clock ticking in the hallway. The same clock that had marked time through my entire childhood. Finally, Aunt Linda spoke. Catherine never said anything about this to me. Catherine was very private about her final wishes. Margaret said. She didn't want family pressure to change her mind. She knew what she wanted and why she wanted it. This is bullshit, Jason erupted. We're her children too. You deserve what your mother chose to leave you, Margaret said coldly. Which is 1/4 of her financial estate each. That's not insignificant. Her savings and investments total approximately $740,000. You'll each receive $185,000. And Claire gets a house worth at least $600,000 plus $185,000. Amanda's voice shook with anger. Claire gets the house her mother wanted her to have. The financial distribution is separate and equal. That's not equal at all. Your mother didn't want equal, Margaret said. She wanted fair. There's a difference. I finally found my voice. I didn't know. Everyone looked at me. I didn't know Mom was leaving me the house. I said. She never told me. I came home to take care of her because she was my mother and she was dying. Not because I wanted the house. Convenient, Jason muttered. Jason. Margaret's tone was sharp. I will not have you impugn your sister's character. I was present for many conversations with your mother. She was crystal clear that Claire had no knowledge of the will's contents. In fact, she worried that if Claire knew, she might refuse the inheritance out of some misguided sense of fairness. She was right. I probably would have. Your mother loved all of you, Margaret continued. But she also understood that love doesn't mean treating everyone identically. It means giving each person what they need, what they've earned, what's right. Derek had quietly packed away his measuring tape. Aunt Linda was crying. My siblings sat in stunned silence. I'll leave you to your birthday celebration, Margaret said. She handed me the will and the letter. These are yours now. The original documents are in my office. The formal reading Monday is just a formality at this point. You can contest the will if you wish. She looked at my siblings, but I advise against it. It's solid, and legal challenges will only deplete the financial estate you're set to inherit. She turned to me. Claire, call my office Monday morning. We'll need to discuss property transfer, tax implications, and other details. Thank you, Miss Holloway. Your mother was a remarkable woman. She wanted to ensure you were taken care of. Margaret nodded to the room at large. Good afternoon. I walked her to the door. Before leaving, she said quietly, they'll be angry for a while. Let them be. You earned this. After she left, I returned to the living room. No one had moved. The birthday presents still sat unopened on the side table. The cake was half eaten. Paint samples littered the coffee table next to the will that said this was all mine. I think you should all leave, I said quietly. Claire Amanda started. Please, just go. We should talk about this, Jason insisted. There's nothing to talk about. Mom made her decision. Miss Holloway confirmed it. The house is mine. So that's it? You're just going to kick us out? You were never in, I said. You were planning to divide property you didn't own. At my birthday party, 3 weeks after Mom died, the words hung in the air. Tommy spoke first. She's right. We should go. Tommy. Jason turned on him. She's right, Tommy repeated. We got ahead of ourselves. Way ahead. He looked at me. I'm sorry, Claire. For the measuring tape, for assuming, for all of it. He left first. After a moment, Derek and Aunt Linda followed. Jason and Amanda remained, along with their spouses and children. This isn't over, Jason said. Yes, it is. The will is clear. We'll contest it. On what grounds? Mom was of sound mind. The will was properly executed. You heard Miss Holloway. You'll just waste money and time. You manipulated her, Amanda said. While she was sick, you convinced her to change the will. The will was changed 8 months ago when she was first diagnosed. I didn't even know she was sick yet. That stopped Amanda. She'd forgotten that timeline. Mom made this decision when she was perfectly lucid. I continued. She had 8 months to change her mind if she wanted to. She didn't. Sarah, Jason's wife, touched his arm. Jason, let's go. Claire needs time. For once, Jason listened to his wife. They gathered their children who'd been playing in the backyard, oblivious to the adult drama, and left through the back door. Amanda lingered. I can't believe you're doing this. I'm not doing anything. Mom did this. You could share. You could be fair. Like you were fair when you planned to take the East Wing, without asking me, when you brought paint samples to my birthday party. Amanda's face crumpled. We thought, Mom always said. Mom said what she needed to say to keep peace, but she wrote what she meant. I held up the letter. She knew exactly what she was doing. You were always her favorite. No, I was the one who stayed. There's a difference. Amanda left without another word. Finally, I was alone. I sat on the couch, my couch now, in my house, and read my mother's letter again. Her handwriting was shakier than usual. She must have written it during the early days of her illness, when the pain was just beginning, but her words were clear. I thought about the last 3 months, the nights sitting by her bed, monitoring her breathing, the mornings helping her to the bathroom, preserving her dignity as much as possible, the afternoons reading to her, when she was too weak to hold a book, the conversations we'd had about everything and nothing, about her childhood, her marriage, her regrets, about my life, my choices, my future. She'd never mentioned the house, never hinted at the will, but she'd held my hand the night before she died and said, "Thank you for coming home." Of course, Mom. Where else would I be? Your siblings love me, she'd whispered. But you like me. That's rarer than people think. I'd cried then and I cried now, sitting alone in the house that was somehow both a gift and a burden. My phone buzzed. Text from Tommy. I meant what I said. I'm sorry. Happy birthday, Claire. Then another from Jason. We need to talk when you're ready. Then Amanda. I don't understand why she did this. I turned off my phone. The birthday presents still sat unopened. I walked over and sorted through them. Most were generic. Candles, wine, gift cards, but there was one small package wrapped in newspaper comics. My mother's signature wrapping style. I opened it carefully. Inside was a small wooden box I recognized from my mother's dresser. I'd seen it my whole life but never knew what it contained. The box held a key, old and brass, with a tag attached. In my mother's handwriting. For the front door. I had this made when you were born. I always knew this house would be yours someday. 35 years. She'd kept this key for 35 years. I walked to the front door and tried it. The key slid smoothly into the lock, turning with a satisfying click. My mother had known. Somehow she'd always known. I spent the rest of the afternoon alone in the house. I walked through each room, seeing it with new eyes. This was mine now. Not to share, not to divide, but to keep. The living room where we'd had Christmas mornings. The kitchen where Mom had taught me to cook. The garden where we'd planted roses together.
East.
The guest room where I'd slept for 3 months, caring for her. All of it mine. Around 6 p.m., my phone rang. I turned it back on, and Aunt Linda's name appeared. "Hello, Claire honey, it's Linda. I wanted to apologize." "You don't need to." "I do." I pushed the idea of sharing the house. I thought it's what Catherine wanted. But I was wrong. I sat in the garden watching the sun set. "You weren't entirely wrong. Mom did want the house to stay in the family. She just had a specific idea of what that meant. She meant you. You are the family. At least for this house." Linda paused. "I remember when you were little, maybe 7 or 8. You told your mother you wanted to live in this house forever. She told me later that she believed you." "I don't remember that." "Your mother did. She remembered everything about you kids." We talked for a few more minutes. Linda promised to call my siblings, help them understand. I wasn't sure it would help, but I appreciated the gesture. After hanging up, I opened my laptop and searched for my mother's name plus will plus contest. I needed to understand what my siblings could actually do. The answer, according to several legal sites, was not much. If the will was properly executed, if my mother was of sound mind, if there was no evidence of coercion or manipulation, it would stand. Margaret Holloway didn't seem like someone who made mistakes with legal documents. I was in the kitchen making tea when someone knocked. I almost didn't answer, but something made me check the peephole. Tommy stood on the porch, alone. I opened the door. "Hey, can I come in? I won't stay long." I stepped aside. We sat at the kitchen table where we'd eaten thousands of family meals. Tommy looked uncomfortable, his hands wrapped around the glass of water I'd poured him. "I was an idiot today," he said finally. "Yes, I brought a measuring tape to your birthday party, to measure the house you inherited. He shook his head. "There's no excuse." "No, there isn't. Jason called me 3 weeks ago, right after Mom died. Said we needed to start planning for the house division. I should have questioned it, should have waited for the actual will, but I just went along." "Why?" Tommy considered. "Honestly, because I wanted to believe it. The idea of owning part of this house, even a small part, was appealing. I'm 30 years old, living in a crappy apartment, drowning in student loans. The thought of having equity, having property, I understand that, but it wasn't mine to want. And the way we went about it, planning and measuring while you're grieving, that was wrong." I sipped my tea. "Mom's leaving you $185,000. That's not nothing. It's generous. More than I expected." He looked around the kitchen. "But you're right that this house should be yours. You're the only one who really lived here as an adult. The rest of us left and visited. You could have stayed too." "Could have. Didn't." He met my eyes. "That was a choice. I chose to leave to build my life elsewhere. You chose to stay connected." Mom recognized that. We sat in silence for a moment. "Are you going to live here?" Tommy asked. "I think so. I need to figure out some logistics. I have an apartment downtown, a job. But yes, I want to live here. It suits you." It always did. After Tommy left, I walked through the house again, this time imagining my future in it. I could convert Mom's sewing room into a home office, update the kitchen without destroying its character, maintain the garden she'd loved, keep the house alive in the way she'd wanted. My phone buzzed again. This time it was a number I didn't recognize. "Hello, Claire Parker. This is Robert Chen from Channel 7 News. We received an interesting tip about a will dispute in your family." I hung up. Someone had talked to the press, probably Derek or one of the cousins who'd been here today. Within an hour, 3 more reporters had called. I turned off my phone again. This was going to get worse before it got better. Monday morning, I met with Margaret Holloway at her office. She'd already heard about the media calls. Your brother Jason issued a statement to the local paper, Margaret said, sliding a printout across her desk. The family is shocked by Catherine Parker's decision to disinherit her other children in favor of one daughter. We're exploring our legal options. Disinherit is a strong word for people receiving $185,000 each. It's deliberately inflammatory. He's trying to build public sympathy. Margaret leaned back in her chair. The question is, how do you want to respond? Do I need to respond? Not legally, no. The will stands regardless of public opinion. But this could get uncomfortable. Small town, family drama, inheritance dispute. It's catnip for local media. I thought about my mother, who'd valued privacy above almost everything. I won't make a public statement. If people want to judge me based on Jason's version, that's their choice. Admirable. Difficult but admirable. We spent the next hour discussing practicalities. Property transfer would take approximately 60 days. I'd need to pay inheritance taxes, though the primary residence exemption would help. I'd need to update insurance, utilities, and various other documents. One more thing, Margaret said as I was leaving. Your mother left a second letter. She asked that I give it to you after the formal reading, in private. She handed me an envelope with my name on it. I waited until I was in my car to open it. Claire, if you're reading this, you now own the house. I hope you're not too angry with me for the surprise. I didn't tell you because I knew you'd argue. You'd say it wasn't fair to your siblings, that you didn't need it, that you'd be fine without it. All of which is true. You would be fine. You're the strongest of my children, though you hide it well. But I didn't leave you the house because you need it. I left it because you love it. That's worth more than fairness. Your siblings will be hurt. They'll probably be angry. Let them. Anger fades. Eventually they'll understand that I loved them enough to give them freedom, money to do what they want, go where they want, build the lives they want. I loved you enough to give you roots. The house holds our memories, yours and mine. Every room has a story. You know those stories. You lived them. That's why it's yours. Live well, my darling girl. Plant new roses. Make new memories. Fall in love if you haven't already. I suspect you have, but you've always been private about such things. Make this house yours in truth, not just on paper. All my love, Mom. P.S. Check the attic. There's a box labeled Claire, Future. I've been adding to it since you were born. I sat in the parking lot and cried. Then I drove to the house, my house, and climbed the attic stairs. The box was exactly where she said, marked in faded marker. Claire, Future. Inside were photographs. Me as a baby in the garden. Me at 5, helping her plant roses. Me at 10, painting the fence. At 16, reading on the porch. Me at 25, visiting for Christmas. And newspaper clippings. My high school graduation announcement. The article about my promotion at work. A letter to the editor I'd written about local park funding. My mother had been documenting my life, saving evidence of who I was. At the bottom of the box was a deed, the original deed to the house, from when my parents had bought it 43 years ago. My mother had written in the margin, "Someday Claire's." Someday had arrived. The next few weeks were difficult. Jason hired a lawyer who sent threatening letters. Amanda stopped speaking to me entirely. The local newspaper ran a story. Family divided over inheritance.
Wet.
A mother gurred run. But Tommy visited regularly, helping me sort through Mom's belongings. Aunt Linda called weekly to check on me. And slowly, quietly, I began to make the house mine. I painted the guest room a soft blue, planted new roses next to Mom's original bushes, set up my home office in the sewing room. 2 months after the birthday party, Jason's lawyer dropped the case. Margaret had been right. There were no grounds to contest. Jason sent me an email. The money from Mom's estate cleared. We're using ours as a down payment on a house in Portland. New start for the family. I still think what she did was wrong, but I'm tired of fighting. Take care of the house. It wasn't forgiveness, but it was acceptance. I'd take it. Amanda's silence continued for 6 months. Then, on what would have been Mom's 68th birthday, she showed up at the door with a single rose. For Mom's garden, she said. Can I plant it with you? We knelt in the dirt together, planting the rose in silence. Afterward, Amanda sat on the porch steps. I've been in therapy, she said, talking about mom, about family, about why I was so angry.
And
And I realized I was angry at myself for not being here, for not staying when she got sick, for choosing convenience over presence. She wiped her eyes. You made the hard choice. I made the easy one. Then I resented you for it. Amanda, no, let me finish. Mom didn't give you the house as a reward. She gave it to you because you were already home. You'd been home all along. The rest of us were just visitors. We talked for hours that day. Not about the house, or the inheritance, but about mom, about our childhoods, about the different paths we'd taken. When Amanda left, she hugged me. I'm glad you got the house, Claire. I really am. A year after the birthday party, I hosted Thanksgiving. Tommy came with his girlfriend. Aunt Linda brought her famous stuffing. Even Amanda came, though Jason stayed in Portland. We ate at the same table where we'd had countless family meals. We told stories about mom. We laughed and cried and remembered. After everyone left, I sat in the garden as the sun set. The roses, mom's and mine and Amanda's, bloomed together, creating something more beautiful than any of us could have grown alone. My phone buzzed. A text from Margaret Holloway. Saw the Thanksgiving photos your aunt posted. Your mother would be proud. Happy holidays, Claire. I looked at the house. My house, lit from within, warm and welcoming. Mom had been right. This wasn't about fairness, or equality or dividing assets. It was about love, about roots, about home. And it was mine.